Welcome to Global Trends. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. On August 21, 2025, the quiet of Mukachevo, a western Ukrainian city nestled near the Carpathian foothills, was shattered in an instant by Russian cruise missiles. What had been a peaceful evening, with families winding down and city lights twinkling, was suddenly transformed into a scene of terror and confusion. The attack came without warning, targeting not a military base or strategic installation, but a sprawling civilian industrial complex on the city's outskirts, a facility known for employing thousands and serving as a vital economic engine for the region. Explosions lit up the night sky, shock waves tearing through the facility and igniting a massive fire that could be seen for miles. The force of the blasts shattered windows, toppled machinery, and sent debris raining down across the area. Hundreds of workers scrambled for safety, many of them caught off guard by the suddenness of the attack. Amid the chaos, some were separated from loved ones, while others risked their lives to help colleagues escape the inferno. This was part of a larger coordinated assault across Ukraine, over 570 drones and 40 missiles launched in a single night, overwhelming air defenses and striking targets from east to west. The scale and precision of the attack stunned observers worldwide. But the Mukachevo strike stood out for another reason. It was a direct hit on American property, a US-owned facility, making it a calculated message to Washington and the international community that no one was beyond reach. The timing, just days after high-stakes peace talks, made the intent unmistakable. Dialogue would be met not with compromise, but with escalation and force, undermining hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough. Emergency crews battled the inferno through the night, risking their lives to contain the flames as the city reeled from the devastation. The scale of destruction left first responders overwhelmed and the community in shock. The attack transformed a symbol of global commerce and cooperation into a smoldering flashpoint, raising the stakes in an already volatile crisis and sending shockwaves through international markets. As the world watched in disbelief, leaders and citizens alike were left to wonder, what would come next, and how far would this conflict escalate? The target of the attack was a factory owned by Flex, a major American-founded corporation, well known for its global reach and innovation, and listed on the NASDAQ. Flex had become a symbol of international business success, representing the growing ties between Ukraine and the West. Since 2012, the Mukachevo plant had stood as a beacon of foreign investment and hope in Ukraine's West, employing hundreds of local residents. The factory produced only civilian goods, coffee machines, printers, and household electronics, helping to modernize the region and provide stable jobs for families. Its location in far western Ukraine, closer to Budapest than Kiev, had made it a haven for displaced workers and businesses fleeing conflict in the east. The city of Mukachevo became a rare sanctuary, where people could rebuild their lives and contribute to Ukraine's economy. The factory's American ownership gave locals a sense of security and pride, a feeling that they were part of something bigger, connected to the world beyond Ukraine's borders. For many, it was a sign that international partners believed in Ukraine's future, until now. Russia's strike was both strategic and symbolic, a calculated warning to all foreign investors in Ukraine. It was a message that even international partnerships and peaceful industry were not beyond the reach of war. By hitting a prominent American business in a supposedly safe region, Moscow aimed to undermine economic confidence, disrupt daily life, and punish those supporting Ukraine's future prosperity. The attack shattered the illusion of safety, turning what was once a symbol of partnership and progress into a casualty of war and a stark reminder of the conflict's reach. No place, and no person, was truly safe from the Kremlin's reach. The sense of vulnerability spread far beyond Mukachevo, touching every corner of Ukraine. The message was chillingly clear. Even civilian industry, once thought untouchable, is now a target in this escalating conflict. The human cost was immediate, at least 15 injured, including 6 night shift workers caught in the blast. Quick thinking and air raid sirens saved lives, but the physical damage was catastrophic. A third of the plant destroyed, production halted, and thousands of jobs in jeopardy. The fire consumed equipment, materials, and finished goods, crippling the region's economy. This was not an isolated incident. That same night, Russian missiles struck residential buildings and a kindergarten in Lviv, killing and injuring civilians. The attack on Flex was the most provocative, designed to terrorize and destabilize. For workers, the loss was deeply personal. Their workplace, a source of stability, now a ruin. The psychological scars run deep as families face uncertainty and fear. The community is left to wonder if their American employer will rebuild or abandon them. The strike left Mukachevo with trauma, loss, and a haunting question about the future. Ukrainian President Zelensky responded with fury, calling the strike a deliberate attack on American investment and a calculated blow to Ukraine's sovereignty. His words were sharp and uncompromising, reflecting the deep frustration and anger felt across the country. He described the bombing as a clear rejection of peace, insisting that it was not just an isolated incident but part of a broader campaign to intimidate Ukraine and its allies. Zelensky urged Washington to see the bombing as a direct affront, proof that only strength, not negotiation, could deter Russian aggression. Business leaders echoed his outrage, warning that the attack humiliated American business and challenged Western credibility. They stressed that the strike sent a chilling message to international investors and risked undermining confidence in the region's stability. In contrast, U.S. President Trump's response was muted. "I'm not happy about it," he said, offering annoyance rather than anger. His tone was measured, and he avoided any strong condemnation of the attack. The lack of forceful condemnation stunned observers and signaled reluctance to escalate, even as U.S. assets were targeted. Analysts debated whether this restraint was a calculated move or a sign of deeper uncertainty within the administration. Trump quickly shifted focus to his own foreign policy achievements, highlighting past successes and avoiding any promise of retaliation or increased aid to Ukraine. The administration's priorities seemed elsewhere. The White House remained silent on policy changes, leaving Kyiv and Europe uneasy. No new measures were announced, and officials offered little reassurance. Allies questioned America's commitment and the reliability of its security assurances. European leaders privately expressed concern that the U.S. might be stepping back from its traditional leadership role. The gap between Ukrainian urgency and American caution grew wider, exposing divisions that adversaries could exploit. The world watched, uncertain of the next move, as tensions simmered and the stakes continued to rise. Russia's response was predictable: denial and disinformation. The Ministry of Defense claimed only military targets were hit, omitting any mention of the Flex factory. By lumping the civilian plant under vague military-industrial terminology, Moscow dodged accountability. This tactic, denying attacks on civilian sites while insisting on military precision, sows confusion and shields Russia from blame. Ukrainian and American officials were unequivocal: the factory made coffee machines, not weapons. Yet Russia's narrative persisted, amplified by state media to muddy the truth. For the international community, the denials rang hollow. The strike was seen as economic warfare and intimidation. The Kremlin's silence on the American factory spoke volumes. Terror and ambiguity were the real weapons. News of the missile strike sent shockwaves through Ukraine and the U.S. For Ukrainians, it was a blow to one of the last symbols of normality and Western partnership. The attack on an American company felt like a personal assault on their hopes for a stable future. In the U.S., outrage and disbelief erupted. How could American property be attacked with such impunity? Calls for a stronger response grew, as many questioned the White House's passive reaction. The business community saw the attack as a warning to all foreign investors in Ukraine. For companies still operating there, the bombing was a terrifying signal. No one was immune. Yet the shared sense of violation brought Ukrainians and Americans closer, highlighting their common cause. The ruined factory became a symbol of both Russian aggression and the values under attack, fueling demands for accountability. The missile strike derailed fragile peace talks and security discussions. Coming days after President Trump's meetings with Putin and Zelensky, the attack was seen as Moscow's contemptuous rejection of negotiation. It complicated efforts to secure Ukraine's future. Trump opposed U.S. ground troops and full NATO membership, offering only limited air support. Ukrainian officials insisted that only full NATO protection could deter Russia. Anything less was an invitation for further aggression. The Flex attack hardened Kyiv's resolve, proving limited guarantees were not enough. With peace talks stalled, both sides prepared for escalation. Ukraine with drone strikes, Russia with expanded targeting of Western interests. The key question: how would the U.S. respond? Trump's reluctance to escalate risked emboldening Russia and leaving Ukraine exposed. The prospect of lasting peace seemed more distant than ever. The world braced for what might come next.